We begin tonight focusing on Tropical Storm Faye, currently bringing heavy rain to the East Coast. Good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome to Western Mass News at 6. I'm Chris Pisano. Let's turn things over now to First Warning meteorologist Janna Brown joining us in the Weather Center. So, Janna, what's in store for us tonight?
Well, Chris, we're definitely going to have some scattered downpours. That's the biggest thing, and that could lead to some localized flooding here across the area. We do have those flood watches that are going to be up through about midday Saturday. Now, it's also going to be kind of breezy, especially as we continue into the overnight hours as Faye passes just to the west of Western Mass. It'll actually kind of cross right through Albany. So winds could gust up to or even slightly over 30 miles an hour, especially through the high terrain. And as far as the severe weather threat, it is actually very, very low for this evening. Doubtful we'll see much, might just have a few thunderstorms that'll just bring some heavier rain, localized heavier rain. Right now, the heaviest bands are actually north of the area of low pressure, which made landfall earlier just north of Atlantic City. So North Jersey, the Hudson Valley, even parts of South Central New York and Northeast PA actually dealing with the heaviest rain, I think the greatest flood threat. Now, we do have some of these outer bands that are going to be lifting northward as we progress throughout the evening, and those will be coming across Western Mass. Right now, it's very light, very spotty stuff. A few isolated downpours to the north of Northampton, getting up into northern Franklin County. But at this point, we're not dealing with much. A lot of overcast, a lot of low clouds, looking tropical. We're at 80 degrees with a dew point up to around 70. Breeze is kicking in out of the southeast, upping a little bit. We have a sustained wind that's around 15 miles an hour. Temperatures are starting to slip into the 70s almost everywhere now, just a few lower 80s left. And dew points will remain on the high side through the rest of the evening and actually through the rest of the weekend. It is breezy right now, not overly gusty. A few gusts getting up to about 20 miles an hour out of the southeast. And as we progress throughout the evening, the chance for a few rumbles of thunder early, and then it's just scattered showers and downpours for the rest of the night with winds gusting up to 30 miles an hour. Now tomorrow, a slightly better chance for severe weather. Faye will be well off to our north at this point, but we're still hot, humid, and unsettled, and we could see some scattered thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon that could bring more heavy rain, some strong wind gusts, and could cause some localized flooding. So we'll talk more about that and the rest of the weekend in just a couple of minutes. Chris?
Janna, thank you. And for the very latest on Tropical Storm Faye as it tracks its way towards the northeast, be sure you have our free Western Mass News streaming app. The World Health Organization issuing new guidance on the coronavirus and how it spreads. Western Mass News reporter Jordan Jagalinzer getting answers on the latest information that suggests airborne transmission is possible. Jordan.
Chris, yesterday, WHO acknowledged that crowded inside spaces could be a place where the virus lives in the air for hours. But a local doctor we spoke to today says the majority of the time that's not the case. The latest guidance released on Thursday, July 9th from the World Health Organization, or WHO, suggests the coronavirus may be able to spread through airborne particles in tight indoor spaces.
COVID falls much more toward the larger respiratory droplets than it does toward the airborne side of things.
Western Mass News is getting answers with infectious disease specialist Dr. Amanda Westlake from Bay State Medical Center.
We know that SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID, is spread by infectious particles that are emitted from the mouth or the nose of an infectious person.
She says in most cases, the virus is spread when coughing, sneezing, or even talking.
Those particles land in the eyes, nose, or mouth of a susceptible person who's standing nearby.
It then lands on the ground within a 6-foot radius. Now, the WHO says the virus can be airborne.
The airborne particles are smaller than 5 micrometers, so they're lighter than air. They can be suspended in ambient air, so they don't fall to the ground.
Dr. Westlake says the virus is mainly spread through droplets, similar to the flu.
Which means that you have to come into face-to-face contact with people in order to be infected.
When compared to a virus spread airborne like measles, the data shows COVID-19 is not as infectious.
The typical person with COVID infects 1 to 3 other people, whereas the typical person with measles infects 10 to 20 other people.
In a household, Dr. Westlake says you have a 20% chance of getting infected if living with someone diagnosed with COVID-19.
Whereas with measles, it's like 80 to 90%.
While there are situations where COVID-19 can be transmitted airborne, she says it's rare. An aerosol transmission is more likely to happen indoors as opposed to outdoor environments where there's more airflow.
An outdoor environment effectively nullifies the possibility of airborne transmission. Also because sunlight and UV kills SARS-CoV-2.
Dr. Westlake says the new guidance shouldn't change how you live your everyday life. Still make sure that you maintain a 6-foot distance, wear your mask or face covering, and wash your hands regularly. Reporting live from home, I'm Jordan Jagalinzer. Chris, back to you.
All right, Jordan, thank you for that live report. And here's a quick look at today's numbers of COVID-19 cases. So far, the state reports 152 newly confirmed cases, with a total number of 105,290 in the Bay State. There are 28 more confirmed deaths today. The statewide death toll now stands at 8,081 among confirmed cases. Some restaurants have been seeing more and more guests not showing up for their reservations on time. With coronavirus restrictions and limited capacity in place, the no-shows are hurting business. Western Mass News reporter Lindsay Kane joins us live in Springfield with more on that. Lindsay?
Chris, a local restaurant owner tells me that they rely on reservations now more than ever, and the chances of getting no-shows today is much higher.
If you don't show up without telling us, we can't use that table for another guest.
The general managing partner at Max's Tavern, John Thomas, tells Western Mass News that recently reservation no-shows have been impacting the restaurant.
It hurts the business because we rely on the reservations now more than ever. We've done a lot to have the ability to seat guests in a safe environment. All the things that we've done have been to make sure that we have the reservations to come in and the ability to take care of the guests that have the reservations.
He says with coronavirus regulations in place, including a reduced capacity, it's more difficult to fill a table last second.
We can't have lines of people waiting outside for, like at the grocery store for a reservation. It just can't happen. So we rely on the reservations and hopefully fill the dining room.
Thomas says they use an online reservation system that makes it easier for people to opt out of their dining plans.
If they want to cancel or if they need to cancel, they can just text us or they can do it themselves online. So it doesn't eliminate the reservation cancellation, but it limits it, certainly.
But he says with the predicted storm on Friday, he wouldn't be surprised if they are waiting for guests that never come.
Chances of us getting no-shows today is going to be a lot more because of the weather. We have a little bit of rain coming, some sort of storm, and it's going to be hard to fill the dining room as is, but without the patio and making sure that we have enough tables and reservations for people that are coming in is absolutely necessary.
Max's Tavern has installed plexiglass between their tables to help make sure that guests stay safe. Live in Springfield, Lindsay Kane, Western Mass News.
Lindsay, thank you for that live report. A weekly Standout in Springfield brings people together to protest in support of Black Lives Matter. And that's where we find Western Mass News reporter Leon Purvis, who's live with more. Leon?
Chris, I'm standing here at Long Meadow Street and Forest Glen Road where the Standout just ended. Now, this was put together by the Long Meadow Anti-Racist Coalition. People in attendance held up signs that said, "Black Lives Matter, Justice for George Floyd," and it's about the Constitution. They spread out along the road to raise awareness. One 93-year-old World War II veteran came out and held his sign to take a stand against racial injustice.
The standing is something you can't do. Sit and hold a sign. We fought wars to create a better world. And if you do nothing, if you can do something to help continue that, we'll do it.
This is going to be a long-term commitment, because the United States of America has been racist for a very long time. So it shouldn't be just a flash in the pan. We have to stay woke and stay active for a long time to make these changes.
The organizers say they plan to do the Standouts weekly throughout the summer. Live in Springfield, Leon Purvis, Western Mass News.
Leon, thanks for that live report. In your campaign news, the U.S. Supreme Court has decided to prevent Congress from viewing President Trump's tax records. In response, Holyoke Mayor Alex Morse, who's challenging Representative Richard Neal for his seat in the upcoming election, called out the congressman, saying his inaction is the reason why these records won't be released before November. Today, while announcing $72,000 worth of federal grants to organizations in Berkshire County, Congressman Neal weighed in on the Supreme Court's decision.
I thought what the court did yesterday was to affirm the constitutional notion of congressional oversight. That yes, Congress has a role here to oversee the judiciary as we balance power. Oversee the executive as we balance power in our constitutional system.
While Congress won't see the president's financial records, they were released to a Manhattan DA, meaning the president is not immune from a subpoena.